So we're on page 13 now. Analysis of Act 1. Both families move away. Poor Edward. Just when he finds a shiny new best mate, said mate gets him into trouble with the police. It all proves too much for the Lionses, who make like a tree and leave. I'll get my coat. The policeman treats the two families very differently. We touched on this a little bit earlier on. Edward sneaks out to play with Mickey and Linda, and the three of them are caught misbehaving by a policeman. The policeman's reactions show how the characters are treated differently depending on their social class, and this is really important message that Willie Russell wanted to show in this play, that depending on your class depends on what opportunities you get, first of all, but also on how you are believed and treated. You're treated with such contempt if you're working class as opposed to working class, and he felt that this was really unfair in society. So this theme of identity, the policeman is harder on Mickey because of Sammy's reputation. So he knows Sammy, he knows that Mickey is his brother, and he just assumes that they are all alike. This shows how hard it is to escape prejudice based on your upbringing, and it is prejudiced. People make assumptions if you live on a certain council estate that you are a certain type of character without getting to know you first. So he swears at Mrs. Johnstone, telling her there'll be no more bloody warnings, and he threatens her with court. He also patronises her, asking her to, do you understand that? Okay, so he looks down very much on Mrs. Johnstone. Fancy, a police officer swearing at a woman, a female on her own, looking after all these kids. We should be giving them a medal, but instead he's looking really down on her because she lives in that type of house and in that council estate. She's got all those children, she's on her own, she's got no money. That's just how they were treated. He is polite and subservient to Mr. Lyons, however, advising him not to let Edward mix with the likes of them, and he removes his helmet, a symbol of his authority, which makes him seem less imposing. Okay, so when he's talking to Mrs. Johnstone and the family, he keeps his helmet on, so it shows he's overbearing with how he's talking to them. However, he shows respect to Mr. Lyons by removing his helmet, and he doesn't want Edward to mix with the likes of them. He thinks that the likes of them are no good. So the Lionses decide to move away. Although Mr. Lyons initially ignored his wife's desire to move, the encounter with the policeman persuades him. Okay, Edward gets upset about moving, and Mrs. Johnstone cradles him, letting him cry. This is a very maternal image and suggests that she still thinks of him as her son. Okay, so I doubt that he would have the same relationship with Mrs. Lyons, Edward. It doesn't come across in the play that they are very tactile in their family, especially as Mr. Lyons spends more time at work than he does at home. There doesn't seem to be a lot of love in the household. However, Mrs. Johnstone, she is very tactile. She likes to have hugs and kisses off her children, and shows and demonstrates that love. And that's what she's doing here in this part of the play, where she cradles Edward. She's very maternal towards him. And Mrs. Johnstone gives Edward a locket, and this creates a bond with him and ensures he won't forget the Johnstones. Okay, so it's a very touching scene, and it's their secret, and it feels that it's a nice secret. The writer's technique here, so you need to remember these techniques in your extended answers. So Blood Brothers on the stage, it says when the Lionses are moving, they are on their side of the stage, and this represents the geographical and social distance between the two families. When Edward speaks the word goodbye, he is trying to cross the divide. So if you remember the play, on the left hand side you have Mrs. Johnstone's house, and on the right hand side you have Mrs. Lyon's house, and this is one of the techniques. They can't, Edward is trying to go over the divide in the middle. The Johnstones find out they're being moved. Okay, so if you remember earlier, we talked about councils having to knock down the old houses that they quickly built cheaply after the war, and they all need to be bulldozed and the people in there need to be rehoused. And this is a key scene. So despite the distance between the boys, the bond between them is clear. Edward picks up on Mickey's superstitions, like covering his eyes when he sees a magpie, and they sing My Friend together using the same melody and pattern of lyrics. So they still have this bond even if they've moved away. The Johnstones find out that they're being moved to Skelmersdale, and Mrs. Johnstone sees this as a chance to begin again. Do you remember she was singing? She felt that it was a new start. And when they arrive, Mrs. Johnstone immediately has to tell Sammy to get off that bleeding cow. This suggests that not everything will be fixed by their move, so he's still up to no good. I don't know what he's doing to the cow, but he's still up to hijinks and he's being a naughty boy. So this theme of identity again, Mrs. Johnstone is eager to move and escape her reputation. So it's a new start for her. It's a new estate. Nobody knows her, and nobody's ever going to find out that she has given away one of her twins. So an exam tip here, it says write about the different social classes and how they are treated. The policeman's visit in this section is very important because it shows how the different classes are treated by the authorities in the play, and this highlights Willie Russell's message about the class inequality. That's really important to write about in your extended answers.